Hello everyone, my name is Phil Rowley and I'm proud to be a Rio ambassador, and I'm also a self-confessed stillwater addict. On today's how-to episode, I'm going to show you some of the finer points of using strike indicators on lakes. Why would you want to use a strike indicator on lake? Well, they allow you to control two of the most critical presentation elements facing you when you're on the water: the depth of your presentation and the speed of your retrieve. The depth is simply governed by the distance between your indicator and your flies, and the speed of your retrieve is governed by how little or how much you choose to retrieve the fly line back towards you. But before we get on the water, let's review the rod, line, and leader considerations. When I fly fish lakes, I prefer long fly rods, 9.5 to 10 foot minimum. These long rods offer a number of key benefits. First of all, when using indicators, you simply get a greater distance between your indicator and fly, so that indicator doesn't jam up at the rod tip and become a barrier when you're trying to land that great fish. When you're fighting fish, you can reach out when you're fishing from an anchored boat and keep that fish clear of obstructions such as anchor ropes, motors, transducers, all those things fish seem to love to wrap line around. They also help facilitate wider, more open loops when you're casting indicators, and probably the best benefit for me is the ability to form beautiful roll casts, which is my favorite way of presenting tangle-prone indicator systems. For fly lines, you want to look for a fly line that features an aggressive front taper and large head that's going to help turn over these indicator rigs. And the line I'm going to use today is the InTouch Trout Steelhead indicator line. Now, the most critical aspect of indicators: leader setup. I recommend strongly the indicator leader because it has a short butt section that quickly tapers into level leader. The key aspect is making sure that your leader is level, thin diameter between your indicator and fly to ensure your fly sinks to the depth you set it at. If I want to extend the leader to reach deeper fish, I'm going to add some of the PowerFlex Plus tippet, 3, 4, 5 feet, whatever is necessary. Then I'm going to attach a small barrel swivel that adds a number of benefits, primarily weight. And to the terminal end, we're going to use FluoroFlex Plus tippet to round out the leader. So that's the setup. Let's get out on the water. We're now on the water. We're anchored in 14 feet of water. I'm anchored at the bow and the stern with the boat perpendicular to the wind, with the wind at my back, so I'm always presenting my flies downwind. You always want to cast indicator rigs downwind in 90% of the situation. I've got my Rio indicator leader. I've got a quick release indicator that allows me to fish in deeper water. Because I'm fishing a little deeper, I've had to add some tippet to my fly, some PowerFlex Plus in similar or maybe slightly lesser diameter. I've got my small barrel swivel, and then I've got FluoroFlex Plus tippet to round out the leader, and then the fly, which in this case is a balanced leech. So let's get this balanced leech in the water. We have two casting options. You can certainly cast traditional overhead casting. Remember, crack that wrist a little bit to open up that casting loop so you don't get tangles. We don't want tight loops with this system necessarily because it's just more tangle prone. We've got a skinny long leader with an indicator, weighted fly, and a swivel on there. My preferred cast is the roll cast, and it's an easy cast to learn, and especially for beginners, it allows you to flop that fly out there and get fishing. We don't want to be making long distance casts no matter what casting technique we use. We want to keep things nice and short so we can react to any subtle takes and get to that fly right away and drive it home into the fish's mouth. If you cast this setup way too far, you're simply going to miss fish altogether or just not be able to react quick enough. So let's get her in the water. You know, one of the criticisms of stillwater fly fishing, and indicator fishing in particular, is it's so boring. Well, the cure for boredom is move the fly. And we retrieve the fly when we're fly fishing with indicators in lakes. I have three primary presentation techniques I like to use. First of all is literally the heave it and leave it and just let it sit and let the wind and the chop just dance and move that fly downwind. I often do this, cool water conditions, environmental changes like weather changes, fronts going through, that kind of thing. If I want to cover water from where I cast the fly back to where I'm going to cast it again, I can use a slow hand twist retrieve just to bring the flies back across and through the water. Oh, and there we go. We've got a fish on the hand twist. Oh, gone. Okay. There's an example exactly of how that works. And then you can give the fly a 6 to 12 inch pull, which will rise the fly up and flutter it back down. And when you do that, you want to always watch your indicator intently right after you stop it, because it's that movement that attracts the fish to your fly and you'll get that sharp pull down. That is what I do when fish are active, trying to induce a take. Now in reality, I often use all three in one technique. So I will make a cast, I will let it sit, my attention starts to wane, little hand twist, let it sit, tension starts to wane, maybe a couple of strips, let it sit, tension starts to wane, and keep doing that until you find one particular retrieve technique that they respond to best, and then stick with it. So again, it doesn't have to be boring. The cure for boredom is move that fly. Fish on. So again, this long rod I talked about helps steer and control fish. Come around. He's come right around the boat. I'm letting it, whoop, he's back this way again. Got him back. Again, the long rod helps. I got a bow anchor out, so I want to keep this guy away from that bow anchor, and he's eating the upper fly. He's eating the blob, which again is great fly when they've been, oh, this is a nice big rainbow. Big fish. This is why we come stillwater fishing for these kind of things. That Floraflex Plus is doing her job. Oh, come on. There we go. That is why you use strike indicators, and that's why you fly fish lakes. This is a prime stillwater rainbow. Look at that. Look at the girth on that thing. That is just a beautiful, beautiful fish. I'm gonna put him back in the water. Off he goes. Strike indicators for still water. If you haven't tried it already, you gotta do it, because they just work so well. It's a backbone still water presentation technique. Whew! So there you go. That's how I like to use strike indicators when I'm fishing lakes. I hope you've enjoyed this instructional episode and understand, or better understand, the value of strike indicators on lakes. I know I never leave home without them. For more information on the products featured in this episode, please visit Rio's website at rioproducts.com, where you can also catch other how-to episodes as well.